Syracuse, Georgetown, a rivalry that dates all the way back to 1930. From the Hoyas closing Manley Fieldhouse to clutch shots from Pearl Washington and C.J. Fair posterizing Otto Porter Jr., it's a rivalry that just keeps giving. But ever since Syracuse moved to the ACC, the two programs have been a shell of themselves. This Saturday presents an opportunity for a new chapter, a new story, a new hero, and we'll tell you everything you need to know on Cuse Countdown, which starts right now.
Welcome into the CitrusTV studio for another edition of Cuse Countdown. Alongside Leo Silverman and Ian Nicholas, I'm Ben Spector. And guys, just 2 weeks ago, Syracuse was on a 3-game losing streak, but now SU has won 2 straight. And Leo, that's something to be happy about, right?
It's always nice to see a bounce back.
Yeah, let's see how the rivalry game goes before we get too excited.
You don't want to get too excited right away. But the last 2 games have given SU fans a lot to cheer about. And that's mainly because the Orange have recently shown they can win games in multiple ways. Guards Judah Mintz and Joe Girard managed to make shots down the stretch to come away with a victory over a conference opponent in Notre Dame last Saturday. Then this past Tuesday, the Cuse took care of business in blowout fashion over Oakland, which included a 33-7 run toward the end of the first half and beginning of the second. A big reason to the recent success, though, has been the play of center Jesse Edwards. The big had a double-double in 4 of his last 5 games, and these types of performances were bound to happen. Let me tell you why. Follow me. Jesse Edwards has been the star for Syracuse all season long. The center leads the team in scoring, rebounds, and blocks. And you could point to the fact that he's a senior and this is his 2nd year starting for SU as to why he's been so successful. But a big reason why Edwards continues to improve has to be what he did this past summer. The big man represented the Netherlands and played for the Dutch national team. Edwards had the opportunity to go up against the best of the best, and he'll be the first to tell you how much it helped his game.
The MVP was on the court, Jokic is playing against him. I scored on him with the first play, that was a good feeling. And then just hearing your own anthem, it's really different. Like, I've heard the American one for a while and I love it, but it's just different hearing your own one.
Playing against the 2-time NBA MVP and Nikola Jokic has made Edwards become a more aggressive, active, and elusive big. You saw some of the senior's presence in this past Tuesday's contest against Oakland, where he blocks a shot on one end, sprints to the other, and converts on this magnificent alley-oop right behind me from Joe Girard. Edwards is doing the little things that enhance his game, and playing for the Netherlands national team has certainly helped him. Leo, Ian, what else has contributed to Edwards' success this season?
Well, Ben, the biggest contributor for me comes on the defensive end for Jesse Edwards. We saw last year he just struggled with foul trouble constantly, and this year only fouled out in 2 games so far. He's doing a really good job playing in the paint there, and offensively, he's just like, peanut butter and jam in that pick and roll on the offense with Judah Mintz. So it's those 2 things that are really playing a big factor for me.
I want to go and just expand a little bit. This was a guy who, as an underclassman, played under 10 minutes a game. Everyone knew he had upside, but Jim Boeheim kept saying he's not ready. Wasn't ready in the Sweet 16 against Houston. He said, "Get me out of the game, coach. I can't play. I'm huffing and puffing." But now he's in shape, doing what he does best. Top 10 of the nation in rebounding. Really impressed with Jesse Edwards and how he's transformed from a guy who is the what if to now the what if more. It's just unbelievable, Jesse Edwards.
Leo, you said peanut butter and jam. He's been throwing down a lot of jams this season. You're almost making me hungry over here. But when looking at Syracuse's season, you can also point to the performance from the backcourt. One game, Joe Girard has a career-high 31 points, and another, he doesn't even score. Then Judah Mintz, it's inconsistency, right? He's averaging just 9 points in the last 4 games. So, Leo, why have the starting guards been just so inconsistent recently?
Well, Ben, I'm going to pump the brakes on Judah Mintz. I mean, we're still talking about a freshman here who's played only, a couple of games in his collegiate career so far. On the points, on the scoring right now. There's going to be games where he goes cold right now on those big stages against like the Fighting Illini and maybe on the road against Notre Dame. What I have an issue with is he is the point guard for this team now, right? And he is being out he's being less of a playmaker compared to John Bolajak in some of these games. He has less assists
He's
than
a
John
good playmaker.
Bolajak. He should be better than John Bolajak as a playmaker due to minutes. So I need to see the passing and the playmaking for teammates step up more than the scoring.
John Bolajak, point forward. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of point guys, point guard, Joe Girard, shooting guard, whatever you want to put him, he's been super inefficient. 40% from three last year, just 35% three this year. Why? Well, Buddy Boeheim and Cole Swider aren't in the lineup anymore. You know, it reminds me a lot of Jerry McNamara back in the day. He was a heck of a lot more efficient when he had Carmelo Anthony and Hakeem Warwick next to him. He was a completely different guy when those two guys went to the league. Same thing with Joe Girard right now.
Jerry McNamara, Ian, is an incredibly high bar for these guys, but hey, if that's the bar, you got to get there. And while the guard play has been inconsistent, rebounding has been a big issue for the Cuse. Starting forwards Benny Williams and Chris Bell combined for just 7 boards last game against Oakland. It has made Jim Boeheim so mad, he's calling for one of his former players after the matchup against Oakland.
3 forwards playing 80 minutes and getting 2 rebounds. That's what they did. Where's Marek Dolezaj when you need him? Guy weighed 170 pounds and we got 12 rebounds tonight. We got guys that weigh 210, 220, and they can't get one. I don't know about that. I give up.
Well, Jim, I hate to break it to you. Marek Dolezaj, not an option for this year's SU squad. But Ian, just break it down for me. How much of an issue is this rebounding problem for SU?
It's so bad they need a tooth chipper back in the lineup in order to fix it. Look, Chris Bell, he's a nifty dude. He can make a 3 here and there. The guy's got 9 rebounds in 9 games. That's unbelievable. Justin Taylor is the answer a little bit to how they fix this issue. He's got 3 times as many rebounds as his fellow freshman. He's an inch shorter. It doesn't matter. He's played 1 less game. It doesn't matter. He's also shooting the 3-ball better. So really, I think in my mind, Justin Taylor is going to fix this. And here's why. It's already happening. He's played 23 more minutes over the last 2 games than Chris Bell, who is starting to get phased out, Leo.
I certainly like Justin Taylor playing more minutes, but from a bottom line standpoint, this team compared to last year's team has more size. Rebounding shouldn't be as big of an issue in the first place yet. They've given up double-digit rebounds in the last 3 games. That includes the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. So, you know, 2-3 defense is already going to be an issue when it comes to rebounding against some of these man sets we could see, but they just got to do better. I mean, this is a bigger team that is framed to be better rebounding, especially on the wings, and they're just not doing it.
Leo, you said it, a lot of size for Syracuse, and you read the graphic right there. The rebounding, it's just been rubbish. It's been scarce for the Orange indeed. And with that, the defense has been caught in some holes as well. So, Leo, the 2-3 zone, it's key in Jim Boeheim's philosophy. But why have there been more questions than answers this season?
Yeah, Ben, Syracuse fans not already big fans of the 2-3 defense, and Coach Boeheim played with man early in their year, and now, well, he's morphed the 2-3 into something that I am not a fan of in any sense. We're calling it the press-up wing 2-3, and our first clip here, we get into against Notre Dame, you can see Joe Girard and Judah Mintz, they're pressed up to cover one guy who's nearly at half court, and that forces a rotation out of Chris Bell, who's playing that press to guard this shooter, but look who it leaves wide open in the corner. I mean, you cannot leave Goodwin that wide open and leave Jesse Edwards to cover it. The 3 is knocked down nearly wide open. So you take the 2-3 defense that is already weak against 3-point shooting. You try to morph it to cover the top of the key, but you then leave the corners open, and guess what? We move into our next clip. It does an even worse job at interior defense. We move to the Fighting Illini against Syracuse here. It's just a couple of simple swing passes from the top of the key, and look, we pause right here. There are 3 Syracuse defenders way above the free throw line, covering one guy with the ball about 30 feet out. It makes 0 sense. What is this accomplishing? And now you have 2 guys in the low block, wide open, one simple entry pass across into the paint, and it's an easy layup. You're leaving Jesse Edwards high and dry in this new defense, and it's just not working and could be a huge detriment to the squad once we get to those big blue blood teams in the ACC slate.
Well, Leo, I would take your defense class if I could, but we're up against our first break here on Cuse Countdown. On the other side, it's what you have been waiting for. We're talking Syracuse, and we'll highlight the bitter rival in Georgetown. It's CC. Don't go anywhere.
Superheroes?
Just four brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Gear up, guys.
Welcome back to Cuse Countdown alongside Leo Silverman and Ian Nicholas. I'm Ben Spector, and guys, the biggest rivalries in sports. You think Yankees, Red Sox. You think Michigan and Ohio State, and maybe, am I missing one more?
Syracuse and
Georgetown.
Georgetown.
Syracuse and Georgetown. That's exactly right. It's a rivalry that has tons of history and lots of great moments in college basketball. So if you often get the events mixed up, just like me, there's no need to fret. Don't worry. Ian Nicholas, he's got you covered.
Syracuse and Georgetown first met in 1930, but the bitterness between these two wouldn't form for a half century. In 1979, SU and G-Town were two of the 7 founding members of the Big East. Their first in-conference showdown on February 13, 1980 changed everything. This date marked the then Orangemen's last inside Manley Fieldhouse. The Cuse had won its previous 57 games at home. Down 15 with 14 minutes to go, the Hoyas rallied to upset the second-ranked Orangemen 52-50. Afterwards, Georgetown coach John Thompson twisted the knife with 6 infamous words. Manley Fieldhouse is officially closed. As a door closed, another opened to one of the most contentious rivalries in the sport's history. Michael Graham's meltdown at 84, Pearl Washington's game winner a year later, Big John's 3 techs and an ejection in 1990. It was always a must-watch, and it defined what the old Big East was. Syracuse hated Patrick Ewing. Georgetown hated Jerry McNamara. Funny enough, they're coaching for their alma maters today. Even so, Thompson said, quote, "I always respected their program in Jim Boeheim. Never could have admitted it, never would have admitted it, and I'd say you're lying if you said I said it."
Well, Syracuse and Georgetown have a big history, and when you look at this, Leo, it's really a close matchup throughout the past decade since Syracuse has moved to the ACC.
Yeah, it's been a really close matchup, but we touched on it earlier. These two teams are just not at the standard we saw when they were in the Big East.
But man, did they make the Big East what it was? I mean, the 80s and 90s, this was one of, if not the premier matchup in all of college basketball.
Indeed it was, but when you think of Georgetown, you might think of Patrick Ewing, right? And that's for good reason. Ewing scored over 2,000 points in a Hoyas uniform and had his jersey retired. But now he's on the sidelines, and Ian, you said it, he's a head coach for Georgetown. And while the Georgetown legend led the Hoyas to an NCAA tournament appearance very recently, Leo, there isn't very much to be happy about.
There is not at all. I mean, we're talking about a coach that is approaching, 20 more losses than wins right now. 68-83 as a head coach, and the craziest stat, 0-19 against the Big East in one of these seasons. It's absolutely, I can't even fathom it. I thought April Fools came a couple months early in December by that point, and the funniest thing is, it's not like they're not getting the talent either, Ian. They're recruiting a couple really good guys in the future. They've gotten some transfers, but it's not even Ewing that's doing that, right?
No, it's not. It's Kevin Nickelberry, to be completely honest. You might be wondering, who's this guy? Former Howard head coach, goes to LSU for 1 year, now Georgetown on the assistant staff. Not only did he get Brandon Murray got Primo Spears to come to Georgetown, and Nickelberry got a 4-star recruit to come there next year. I think you've got your guy for the future, and it's not Ewing.
Well, one of Ewing's weaknesses alongside recruiting and the transfer portal, it's putting together an ultimate defensive scheme. We talked about, Leo, you talked about Jim Boeheim's defensive scheme. You might want to talk about this one because the Hoyas give up nearly 75 points per game. That's toward the bottom in all of college basketball in scoring defense. So, Ian, how does the Syracuse offense match up with the struggling defense?
I know the Orange haven't shot the 3-ball well this season, Leo, but this is going to be their opportunity to once again light it up from downtown. The Orange made 8 threes against Oakland. I think they're going to continue to hit that 3-ball and really just spread the ball around to multiple shooters because, again, we saw it against Oakland. This offense is really deep.
Yeah, this offense is very deep, and the defense of Georgetown, they struggle with switches constantly. So watch Judah Mintz and Jesse Edwards pop off in this game on screens.
Jesse Edwards, definitely one of the stars in this game, but Georgetown has some stars for its own. So let's meet the stars of Georgetown. And Leo, we start with Akok, who grabs nearly 8 rebounds per contest. What else you got on him?
He grabs 8 rebounds per contest. He also has over 2 blocks a game per contest, this guy. And he's that classic freak athlete, especially on the defensive end, but he is very much lacking offensively with his Georgetown offense. There's been a couple games where he's only shot 4 or 5 times. So great on the defensive end, a liability offensively.
100%. He was a former 4-star recruit. Syracuse wanted him back in the day, but hey, they ended up with Jesse Edwards. Not a bad deal. Super effort guy, super relentless, one of Ewing's favorites.
Akok big, but when you look to the backcourt, you look at Primo Spears, and Ian averages 17 points per game, a big part of this Georgetown offense.
Honestly, Ben, I'd compare him a lot to Judah Mintz. He's only shooting 29% from 3, but gosh, he can handle the ball, get to the lane. He started Duquesne last year and has just been an excellent shot maker in the Big East.
Ian, I don't like to agree with you a lot, but he looks exactly like Judah Mintz.
There we go.
That's perfectly. A slasher towards the rim, will pull up from mid-range, and he's also leading this Hoya squad in assists, nearly 5 a game.
Transfer from Duquesne, a former teammate of Munir Hima, but his backcourt partner, Brandon Murray, a transfer from LSU, second on the team in scoring, Leo, with 16 points per contest.
Yeah, 6'5" guard. He's freakishly athletic on the defensive end. 12 steals and 7 blocks so far this season for the Hoyas. And offensively, he likes to play more like a weak side wing, but he really loves to pump fake off the arc and get inside the paint.
Yeah, big reason why Primo Spears is here is because of Brandon Murray. And these two could be, if they could really live up to their potential the rest of the way, the best backcourt in the Big East.
This backcourt could have a lot of fun. So we've met some of the stars, but Ian, Leo described some of the holes in the 2-3 zone, SU's 2-3 zone that is, earlier in the show. But how does this Georgetown offense with that high-scoring backcourt match up with this SU defense?
It doesn't match up very well because all of these guys are excellent shot creators off a dribble drive, get to the lane, tough finishes inside. You've got Jesse Edwards on the inside. And this team is only shooting 30% from deep. So what's the 2-3 all about? Hey, you think you can shoot the 3? We're going to leave you wide open and see what happens. And when Georgetown's been left wide open this season, you can see it there. They're just not making these shots at all.
Yeah, you said they struggle from the three-point line. They're actually 159th in the country from three-point percentage.
Ouch.
And they're even lower for attempts. So it's a perfect matchup for the 2-3 that is weak against those three-point shots. And also, this Georgetown Hoyas offense loves those ball screens with Akok. And you just really can't get away with those at the top of a 2-3. It does absolutely nothing for those guards. So these guards love to slash and get in the paint, are just going right into the teeth of this 2-3.
So Leo, you picked up on the holes, but you think that this SU will do what the graphic said on the screen, that the zone will feast. But we're up against another break here on CC. On the other side, we're taking our caps out. That's right, cap or no cap. You won't want to miss it. CC, back in 90 seconds.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Wait. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
It's that time of year. It's the 21st century. It's 2022. So the question must be raised. I got something back here ready. Cap or no cap? Ian's not wearing a cap there alongside Leo Silverman and Ian Nicholas. I'm Ben Spector. Guys, the game is simple. It's cap or no cap. Cap if you disagree with this statement. No cap if you agree. We just want to get our audience along with the lingo before we get going. But I don't want to waste any more time here. I've been waiting all year for this. I've been waiting all day. Let's go. The first statement, Judah Mintz has shown some spark with 2 20-point outings this season, but is third on SU in scoring. Basketball, though, more than just scoring, right, guys? So, Leo, the statement is Judah Mintz is the best player for Syracuse. Cap or no cap?
Definitely cap for me. I don't care how jolly this hat looks. Cap. Judah Mintz is not the best player on this team. He hasn't been so far. It's Jesse Edwards. Listen, I'm not even going to touch on the offensive side of this really that much for Jesse Edwards because he is leading the team 15.1 points per game. But it's the rebounding. This team would be dead in the water. We already touched on how bad the rebounding has been. I'll throw the stat out to you, Ian, here. He has 105 total rebounds so far this season. The next closest player, Benny Williams with 42. There's just no argument. It has to be Jesse Edwards.
You know what? When Jim Boeheim tells the people at home that the best player on this team is Judah Mintz, which he did after the guy got ejected in the Bryant game, I think I'm going to believe a Hall of Famer. Although, you know what? I really do trust your basketball opinion. When this guy starts to hit the three ball, when he starts hitting the three ball, Judah Mintz, there's going to be a lot more than just 2 20-point outings. It's going to be 20 points per game. Does anybody remember how highly touted this guy was coming in here? Look, Buddy Boeheim in his first year with the Cuse only shot 17% from 3 before New Year's Eve. Once Judah Mintz unlocks that next level of his game, he's going to be one of the best 3-level scorers in all of the ACC, no question.
Leo hit us with that premature cap, where he already had the cap on and was like, I'm not sugarcoating it, I'm calling cap. I agree. I'm calling cap.
Oh.
I'm with you right there. On to the forwards, though, right? Benny Williams has had some highs and lows this season. Jim Boeheim occasionally throws jabs at him in press conferences, and forwards like John Bolajak, Justin Taylor, you talked about it earlier in the show, they've shined recently. Benny Williams will lose his starting job. That's the statement. Ian, cap or no cap?
Oh, there's no cap there. He's losing the job.
You don't smell any cap?
I'm smelling no cap whatsoever. I mean, so what? He's grabbing a few more rebounds per game now. He still can't score the ball. There's a forward on his team that actually rebounds and scores the ball. I know it's something that we haven't seen in a while here in the 3-1-5 because, well, Chris Bell doesn't rebound and Benny Williams doesn't score. But Justin Taylor's done both. You're seeing highlights of his Bryant game. Where are the Justin Taylor highlights? He had 25 points in this game, and over his last 3 games, he's grabbed 4 rebounds or more in each of them. Leo, this guy does everything, and he's right there playing premium minutes. Benny Williams is losing that job.
He does everything but play Jim Boeheim's 2-3 defense fully to the strengths of Benny Williams. I'm going cap on this one because it's too early to switch the lineups with the ACC slate we're about to get here. Benny Williams, he's been with this team for a year. He knows the 2-3. As much as I hate the 2-3, he knows it, and I want to give him a bit more time. I think this lineup stays the same, but I am a big fan of Justin Taylor. He does deserve more minutes, but starting lineups, we're keeping it the same.
I don't think Syracuse keeps that the same. I'm with Ian here. I'm keeping my cap behind me. No cap. I'm with you, Ian.
Thank
1
you.
point for you if we're going to count points here. But we've talked Judah Mintz. We've talked Benny Williams. Let's talk some Joe Girard. He's been up and down this year, right? Some days he scores a career-high 31 points against Richmond, and other days he just drops a giant goose egg. No offense whatsoever. So my statement to you, Leo, here is Joe Girard will lead SU in scoring for the rest of the season. Cap or no cap?
I'm not going to take the hat off for this one, but I am going no cap.
That's a bit misleading.
The hat's gone.
Yep,
there we go.
Misleading.
See you later. No cap. Joe Girard, purely for the fact that his shooting splits are too crazy, and we haven't seen him go on one of his trademark hot streaks in one of those years. Last year, it was the middle of the season, and the year before, it was in March when he was pulling up from the logo with Buddy Boeheim. I think being the only 3-point shooter on this squad really consistently will make him the leading scorer.
I'm sorry, what is this? Is this a cap? I'm smelling cap.
That's a cap. That's a cap, by the way.
You know how much I love Judah Mintz. I told you he's going to score 20 points per game consistently in 2023. That's exactly what he's going to do. I mean, he does it in every phase outside of 3-point shooting. And heading into this season, we thought he was going to be great from beyond the arc. If he continues to work at it with Jerry McNamara, who Was pretty decent at shooting threes back in his days. Not a bad assistant to have. He is going to be, as I mentioned, an unbelievable talent and just so much more versatile, athletic, a better finisher. He just does everything better in my mind than Joe Girard.
He might do everything better, but he doesn't score better than Joe Girard, and that is why, folks, once again, I am keeping my cap behind me. No cap. But one more break before we wrap things up here on Cuse Countdown. We'll give you our predictions for this weekend's matchup. Make sure to stay with us. It's Cuse Countdown.
Fancy pants peanut butter?
A big screen television. You haven't even bought a sofa yet.
A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Closing up shop here on Cuse Countdown alongside Leo Silverman and Ian Nicholas, I'm Ben Spector. Syracuse and Georgetown set to go to battle this weekend, but before we give you our predictions for this contest, Jim Boeheim and Pearl Washington will be inducted into the SU Ring of Honor against Georgetown tomorrow. And Leo, the two have their fingertips all over this program.
Yeah, and as much as I've gotten on Jim Boeheim for some of his decisions coaching this team now, there's no telling where this entire program would be without Jim Boeheim and everything he's given, regardless of where you think he got 1,000 wins.
And really, there's no question that this program wouldn't be the same without Earl the Pearl Washington. The former #1 recruit in the entire nation changed how recruits look at Syracuse and look at playing in the Salt City.
So you look at playing in the Salt City, right? That's what Syracuse and Georgetown are about to do. Ian, who do you got winning that one?
Syracuse, 78-68. I think it will be somewhat close because this is a rivalry game, but Georgetown is just such a worse team, especially on the defensive end like we talked about, Leo. Syracuse is getting a win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ian on this one. I know we were having our differences on cap or no cap here, but I'll go 82-70 here. The offensive boards may still be a problem, but this 2-3, for once, I can't believe I'm saying it, plays so well into this Hoyas
Nothing
team.
makes me happier than you two agreeing, right? I got Syracuse winning this one as well. 78-72, I think SU comes out on top and beats the bitter rival. But wrapping up things here on Cuse Countdown, before we sign off, this is the last show for this production team. Colin Bach, Audrey Glynn, Olivia Webb, and Adam Cohen. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for this show. You guys are the best, and it's a pleasure working with them, right?
It's been absolutely amazing this entire time. Huge shout out to everything they've done for us on this show.
So much creativity, so much fun. Look, I never thought I'd be throwing a hat off you in the middle of a show and making it look great, but there we are, and it's all because of them putting us in the best position to succeed every week.
They're a pleasure to work with. They always have a smile on their face. When you come down to the station, prepare for this show. They make it a welcoming environment, and we will certainly miss them and their time working for Cuse Countdown. But that's all the time we have on this episode of Cuse Countdown. Alongside Leo Silverman and Ian Nicholas, I'm Ben Spector saying so long, and make sure you enjoy the game.